Wendy and TK are taking you to the weekend. First up, we'll check out the best of the internet in React. Then it's a bit of the Marley bloodline, and we'll wrap with some free zone fun. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Anecdotes suggest more and more women are becoming involved in violent crime. But does the research on the matter support what we've been told anecdotally? Well, Capri has undertaken that research, and the Director of Research at Capri has come to Lead Story today to share her findings, and we'll also get support from an expert in gender and sexuality. This is Lead Story on this Thursday. Let's start the show. It's time. Yeah, if you go into a newsroom at random in Jamaica and you ask the journalists, the reporters there, they'll probably agree with your point that there are more gun women, or to put it the way that it is put on the streets, gun gal about than any time before. Of course, gunmen ever present seems to be something that will always be with us, but that more women are becoming involved in violent crime, especially what we saw coming out of the trial of big gangs in recent years, where women have played key roles in the organization of these gangs. But as I said, does the research support what we've been told anecdotally and what we feel about the involvement and role of women in perpetrating violent crime? Is the reality, supportive by what the research suggests? We'll get into that with our guests soon after. But just to set the context of the discussion and to justify why we've chosen this topic on this day in news.
Here's what the data tells us about women's roles in violent crime. Women are more commonly involved in non-violent offenses such as drug trafficking and financial crimes. Women commit far fewer violent crimes than men do. Women rarely directly commit violent crimes. When they do, it's almost always in domestic settings or personal disputes or conflicts, not in gang-related shootings. And the most prevalent form of domestic violence committed by women in Jamaica is violence against children. Women's involvement in serious violent crimes is marginal. Less than 3% of those arrested and charged for Category 1 crimes, these are violent crimes, murder, shooting, assault, larceny, robbery, in 2021 were women. For murder alone, women accounted for just 2% of all arrests. We weren't able to identify a single recorded case of a woman firing a weapon in a gang-related homicide. Even in police killings, there has been only one known instance of a woman fatally shooting someone that happened in 2018. Women made up some 4% of gang-related arrests in 2024. And let's stop for a moment at that number, because that tells us a lot about what we're here talking about. 4% could be a lot or a little, but we don't have the data from years before to know whether this is an increase or a decrease, so we just have to take the number on the face of it. Is the post-2014 shift in organized crime in Jamaica. The splintering of Jamaica's gangs has meant that the violent crime landscape has moved away from rigid hierarchies and large gangs to smaller, more fluid networks, creating new opportunities for women that might not have been there before. What this means is that it is possible that traditional crime data is missing aspects of women's involvement in organized violent groups, and that the reality is likely more complex than the extremes of either exaggerating or dismissing women's roles in organized crime. Women have a gender advantage when it comes to smuggling contraband because they're less likely to be stopped and searched by male police or security personnel. Because of this, women often transport guns, drugs, and money with less risk of detection. Women play key roles in gathering intelligence as informants, spotters, lures, infiltrators. In the vernacular, these women are called kerosenes or grasmites. They infiltrate rival groups, monitor law enforcement movements, set up targets for attack, among other key functions of a gang.
But she's not the Don, and she's not the leader, though she's carrying out leadership role and leadership activities. She's a banker as well. She is in charge of logistics. She is responsible for the armory. In many of the case files that we have looked at, it is the female, it is the woman who has the key to the armory. It is the female who plans the missions. It is the female who decides who goes out on the missions and the role that the men who go out on the missions, the role that they play.
A set up piece with a difference, because rather than just produce something from the newsroom here at CVM, what we did was just to get for you the choice bits of the conversation that was had as Capri launched its latest study in Kingston recently. After the break, we'll hear from the Director of Research at Capri and an eminent professor.
Episode 5, Wagwan people.
Pumpute grow, I'll come in.
Rough.
Yeah.
Slim get fluffy. That's cool. We're not going out, you know.
Sometimes gotta have to break your heart to save your soul.
Aye. More well, my fear go son a dodge.
Click, pow, that must tell you something.
You won't get a soft girl. You're gonna get the girl who's gonna rough up the devil and beat him like a drum.
What a energy. Listen.
Celine, make we do it now. Road time.
It's Friday. Yendi and TK are taking you to the weekend. First up, we'll check out the best of the internet in React. Then it's a bit of the Marley bloodline, and we'll wrap with some free zone fun. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Back with us on Lead Story here as we talk about the role of women in violent crime and whether or not the research backs up what we think we know anecdotally. Dr. Diana Thorburn is Director of Research at Capri. She was the one who you saw speaking earlier. And Professor Karen Carpenter joins as well to add some vital perspective. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right. Professor Carpenter, are you hearing me? Not quite coming through just yet. You may be muted.
Yes.
Here you go. There you go. Your voice coming through clearly. All right. Dr. Thorburn, overall, what is it that you and your team found over the period that you examined this issue?
What we found is that there are different narratives working at work about women's involvement in organized crime. There is a narrative of woman as victim, that women can't and don't play leading roles in organized or violent crime for whatever reason. They're not capable, they don't have agency, they don't have the will to act in those ways. And there is the other narrative, which is that there is this rising female gangstress. I think that was one of the words that the former commissioner used a year or two ago when speaking about this. And this is a phenomenon that's observed not only in Jamaica, but also in the English-speaking Caribbean and around the world, where in many countries, there is an increasing number of women playing roles in organized and violent crime. Because we were trying to figure out, well, where actually is the truth? Where does the evidence show us is either the real narrative or what lies between? And of course, it's nuanced and it's complex, and it's somewhere in between, which is that certainly women are not only victims. Yes, we do have one of the highest femicide rates in the world, and we do have one of the highest intimate partner violence rates in the world. But we also have enough convincing evidence that women do play strategic and leading and essential roles in the organized violence ecosystem in Jamaica. Even if the numbers, the official data, the JCF data, the Department of Correctional Services data, arrest and incarceration data, does not bear that out. We have enough other sources that tell us that they do play important roles. And so it's not a matter of there's a perception that's incorrect, that everyone's pushing. It is that the perception is true, but we have to be very careful about how we say we substantiate that perception.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I would imagine that women, the role of women in violent crime, where it is that women play a role in violent crime, is not to be the person whose finger is on the trigger that delivers the fatal shots, or whose hand or arm wields the machete that delivers the fatal chops, but in some form of facilitatory, organizing, coordination role that the women play. Is this then a role that is lesser than the person whose hand is on the gun, whose hand is on the machete? And is this reality of a different role for women perhaps what is not giving us the research findings that anecdotes suggest?
No to the first, yes to the second. Their fingers not on the trigger. Indeed, we could not find a single case of a gang shooting where a woman fired the gun. And even in police killings, we were only able to identify one case of a female police officer fatally shooting someone, which was back in 2018. However, if you look at the various roles that they play, and if you look at the case studies, one of the case studies is of a woman named Sudeen Pinky Hilton, who was called Jamaica's first female gangstress. I think she came on the scene before Stephanie Christie came to the forefront. She didn't hold the gun, but she transported the gun. She transported the ammunition. She transported the man who shot the gun. She drove him, pointed out the target, sat in the car, stopped the car while the gun was fired, and then drove the assassin away. So all of those are crucial roles to that man having been killed, even if she herself did not pull the trigger. She may also, if she had played the role of the woman that we are more familiar with, Stephanie Muma Christie, she may also have been involved in the organizing the money that bought that gun, yes, and bought that ammunition, because women play key roles as financiers and bankers in many gang organizations, and gangs are mainly about money. So playing a role as a banker is a crucial role. You're managing the core business of the gang, essentially, even if you're not pulling the trigger. So they're not actually perpetrating the violence, but they're doing almost everything else that is involved in the gang enterprise, and that's essential to the gang's function. And their gender is strategically used, whether it's used or they use their gender strategically, depending on how you want to frame it. Yeah. They use their gender strategically in carrying out the functions that they do.
Yeah. Professor Carpenter, your reaction to these findings, are you surprised that what the data is telling us is not in stride with what we've been told anecdotally over time?
Well, I think the data is telling us a lot of things that do appear to be consistent with the role of women in many other type of organizational structures. So I am not surprised by the data, no. I think the data is not as salacious as we'd like. It's not as, Queen of the South, Netflix series, as we imagined. But if you think about organizational structure and continuity, sustainability, and the dispersion of goods, services, cash, and rewards for jobs done. The roles that women are playing in the Capri findings are very consistent with what we've seen in other situations, such as war. When countries are at war, women play strategic roles again, even if they're not on the front line. So no, I'm not surprised at the data. I think they've uncovered some key elements of organizational structure and management that keep these gangs going. So they're adjacent to the violence, even if they're not perpetrating the violence.
Yeah. No Griselda Blanco being supported in the research, and for that many people say, the finding, something is wrong with them. We'll continue the discussion after this break. This is Lead Story CVM TV.
I actually won my last Olympic. I was ready to retire. I never want to run for a championship. To the point where I tell coach, I don't train for 200 in a big man. Bills me train for. One teacher bet me, if I win, I get a box lunch. So say less boss. Jamaica, so I'm not too put you in a bad life, because I whole part of things out there will have a shadow over already. Now figure push that. Yo, you see Shelly, big man. My link Shelly, I met Shelly. You really good. I say it's a mother race.
The Cut, brought to you by Flo and Rare Nephew.
Now I'm where I wanna be.
Who goes there? A long time I see a brother walk to the community I call Broom, you know. That was a thing.
That is the culture. Me grow from a community in Clarendon where known for build Broomway, and these people are not Rastafari. The man them start put the hand broom and hang me up on the wall. So it's like he start giving me a whole heap of different ideas. It was first music that teach I that entrepreneur energy. Yeah. Carlton try to make a broom, man. He ugly.
Welcome back. We're talking about women's role in violent crime, organized crime, and Capri has done research. You can't question Capri's thoroughness, the quality of with which they do the work. And so many people are scratching their heads because what they thought, what they were fed, what they were led to believe anecdotally has not been borne out by the research. As Professor Carpenter said, not the salacious findings that we thought would match with what we've been told over time. And so many people are still reconciling with what the findings are suggesting, that women's roles in organized crime and violent crime in Jamaica not as prominent as many would be led to believe. Diana Thorburn, Director of Research at Capri, is here, along with Professor Karen Carpenter. Professor Carpenter, what makes a woman, what predisposes a woman to be less likely to take a gun and shoot someone who has wronged them, or to take a gun and shoot someone for profit compared to men?
I'm not sure that women are less predisposed to these kinds of behaviors. First of all, we have to have access to a gun, yes? So it's less likely, given how gangs are organized, as we find out from the Capri report, it's less likely that a woman would be taking a gun out unauthorized, because even if she may be the keeper of the keys for the gun, she's not authorized to do the killing. I think there is a notion, perhaps, George, that gangs are this disorganized set of people running amok.
Yeah.
Without any leadership, without any orders. You have to be very obedient in a gang. You have to listen to what leadership says. And unless it's authorized, I don't know that you can simply pick up a gun and go and use it in a crime just because you're angry at someone or want to take retribution. So I think we probably need to take away this notion of the wild, wild west when we think of gangs and think about a group of organized people who are involved in criminal activity.
When you look into the communities, Dr. Thorburn, and you look at two dynamics. One, a woman who has a partner, a significant other, who is perhaps incarcerated or perhaps overseas, but who wields significant influences as enforcers or dons. And through the power of this man who's not physically in the space with her, she commands respect, and so she can direct the traffic of criminality, so to speak. That's one concept. The other one is this woman who is drafted in because, as the research shows, women are less likely to be searched, are less suspected of being responsible for crime or capable of committing crime. So these two scenarios, which of these does the research pull more information from insofar as the role of women in violent crime in Jamaica?
Well, I think women play all of these roles, George. I mean, you said women are less likely to be searched, and this is something that actually came up a lot when we were talking to people on the ground. They actually know what the women are doing, but they don't have license, so to speak, to search them. So that recommendation of including more women on ops teams was actually something that we heard from JCF security personnel on the ground, that they cannot, for reasons, search women thoroughly. They need to have a woman on the team to be able to do that. So they know this. This is not something that they're unaware of. And one of the reasons that we wanted to do this research is to give some support to these calls for, like, these are things that we want to do. It came out in the discussion with the DDPP, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, said as well. Said she sees the cases and she sees these women have agency. These women are acting very deliberately, but there is a notion that this is not what women do, and so it's not given the same seriousness or attention otherwise. So when she looks at the file, she's not looking at the name on the file, whether it's a man's name or a woman's name. She's looking at to see what have the crimes been committed. But when it goes to sentencing, the sentencing often hinges on whether it's a man or a woman who has committed it. So I think women are playing all of those roles. They're playing a multiplicity of roles. If you look even at Stephanie Muma Christie, she was banker.
Yeah.
She was top tier member.
Yeah.
She paid bail. She bribed people. She befriended police to get information that she then used against the police. But, she was also a pastor and a mother. Her lawyer tried to make the defense that she had an ailing mother to look after and a teenage daughter, and that she had led prayer group in the jail, so she should be allowed to either serve a non-custodial sentence or get a lighter sentence. Justice Sykes wasn't having it, but that was the attempt that was made to portray her as a victim, when if you would have listened to the recordings when she said, to go and chop them up.
Yes.
And then, all right, I have to go now, I have to go back into church.
Yes.
Nobody was coercing her. Nobody was forcing her to do what she was doing. She was a very active leader, and she was considered a top tier leader in that particular situation.
Yeah.
As you said, it also happens that sometimes they are the representative of the Don who is in prison or who is overseas. Yes, that is so as well. But I don't want us to take away the fact that these women are acting with agency. They're not puppets.
Yes.
They're not just vehicles for men to do that. They also stand to gain from these activities. So yes, most women that we saw in the research that we know of, the actual cases that we know of, became involved through family connections and romantic partners. But they're also pursuing their own interests. They're not just doing this for the love of a man, or they're doing it because they're beholden to somebody else.
Yeah.
They also stand to gain money, power, influence, and also get to carry out their own desires for whether it's vengeance or otherwise.
Yes.
Many of the cases that we saw, whether women involved in gangs or hiring contract killers, they are using them to exact their own vendettas as well, not just gang business.
Yeah. Professor Carpenter, how much of the information that one would have expected to be in the research, but of course did not come out to the researchers, perhaps involves the fact that when the way police pursue criminal investigations in this country and in many other places, once your investigation is leading you to who pulled the trigger, You focus on that aspect of it, and you don't pay much attention to the line, the chain that would have led to somebody taking a gun, putting the gun in their hand and pulling that trigger. Is that a factor, you believe?
Well, I think it must be a factor, because you need to have the person who is at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime, and committing the crime. And if that woman is not in any of those three facets, at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime, committing the crime, then she becomes somewhat invisible. And I prefer to use the word cloaked or shadow than invisible, because she's not at all invisible.
Yes.
Reason we speak of organized crime is because there has to be some organization. And so the woman's strategic role should not be underplayed. And also, as Dr. Thorburn has said, if indeed there is a vendetta, the woman does not have to carry out the vendetta herself, so her finger may not be on the gun, but she can seek for a reprisal through the men who are the foot soldiers.
Excellent. Ladies, I'm out of time. I commit the body of research to the viewers for reading. It's on the Capri website, and it will inform the perspective, especially that part about 80% of children being abused in the home. I want to know who's doing the abusing, given that we have so many women-led households, or is it the men when...
You don't need to wonder, George. The violence against children is the violent crime that women in Jamaica commit the most.
There you go. I thank you for that. We'll talk about that another time. Professor Carpenter, thank you for your time as usual. Dr. Thorburn, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
All right, I break now for... This is the first time in my lead story time that I'm throwing to a gentleman who's presenting the news, but he's the fast-rising star, Mr. Gordon of the family Ramon, and he's standing by to present the news at 7. Good evening.
A long time I see a brother walk to the community I call broom, you know. That was a thing.
That is the culture. Me grew from a community in Clarendon where known for build broomware, and these people are not Rastafari. The man them start put the hand broom and hang me up on the wall. So it's like he start giving me a whole heap of different idea. It was first music that teach I that entrepreneur energy.
Yeah.
Carlton try to make a broom, man. He ugly.
Hey you don't want no people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
Episode 5, Wagwan people.
Pump it grow, I'll come in.
Rough.
Yeah.
Slim get fluffy. That's cool. We're not going out, you know.
Sometimes gotta have to break your heart to save your soul.
Aye. More well, me fear go son a dodge.
Click, pow, that must tell you something.
You won't get a soft girl. You're gonna get the girl who's gonna rough up the devil and beat him like a drum.
What a energy. Listen.
Celine, make we do it now.
Now I'm where I wanna be.
It's Friday. Yendi and TK are taking you to the weekend. First up, we'll check out the best of the internet in React. Then it's a bit of the Marley bloodline, and we'll wrap with some free zone fun. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
You can open a Sagicor Bank savings account from anywhere. Go online and open yours today.
The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, United Nations eyes new security plan for Haiti. Authorities probe Westmoreland warehouse fire and questions linger around data privacy implementation. In the business report, we're chasing the paper with AMG packing business. While in sports, St. Catherine FA Major League suspended indefinitely.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Thursday, February 20, 2025. I'm Ramon Gordon. Thank you so very much for joining us. The United Nations is stepping up efforts to stabilize Haiti as gang violence forces thousands to flee. Speaking at a Caricom summit in Barbados recently, UN Secretary-General António Guterres outlined a new plan aiming to combat violence and restore order. The United Nations is stepping up its efforts to restore stability in Haiti. UN Secretary-General António Guterres says a new proposal will be presented to the Security Council, ensuring Haiti receives the necessary support to combat gang violence and rebuild governance structures.
It is my intention to present to the Security Council a proposal that is very similar to the one that we have presented for Somalia, in which the UN assumes the responsibility of the structural and logistical expenditures that are necessary to put the force in place. And if the Security Council will accept this proposal, we will have the conditions to finally have an effective force to defeat the gangs in Haiti and create the conditions for democracy to thrive.
Guterres was speaking recently at the 48th regular Caricom meeting in Barbados. Caricom leaders, who have been calling for urgent action on Haiti, welcomed the announcement, albeit with cautious optimism.
Their situation continues to be of major concern to us, and it is not going to be sufficient just to be able to say that Haiti will have an election on November 15th. It is not going to be sufficient to just stabilize the security situation of Haiti. In the absence of a proper development plan that sees the people of Haiti, that gives them minimum rights of education and access to health care and all of the other basic rights that we fight for our own citizens. In the absence of that, Haiti will be around as a problem in another 10, 20, and 30 years.
While Haiti's security crisis remains a top priority, Caricom leaders say the region must also strengthen its own economic and social foundations, starting with full free movement for Caribbean nationals.
We run the risk that our traditional sources of food may well become more difficult to access because of the climate crisis and because of decisions on the movement of labor. I ask us, as we reflect on these matters, to recognize that if this institution of regional unity is to be fit for purpose in the 21st century, the third decade, then it may well require some decisions, Ralph, that those of you like Roosevelt and yourself may have wanted to see in the past, but have eluded us thus far.
Under current Caricom agreements, some skilled workers can already live and work freely across the region, but full free movement for all nationals remains a stalled promise leaders say must be fulfilled now.
And to that extent, while we have spoken at length always about creating new sources for imports while boosting our production regionally, we can no longer speak about it, but it must become a reality.
Meanwhile, Europe is also stepping up its engagement with the region. The EU is betting big on investments in clean energy, pharmaceutical production and digital infrastructure.
Together we can build local solutions to the most burning global issues. What we have to do is join forces and tap into this potential.
The EU's financial commitments include a $160 million green hydrogen project, an $8.9 million investment in pharmaceutical manufacturing, and €10 million to expand satellite broadband access, improving connectivity in rural communities. Ramon Gordon.
The government is pouring more resources into the Jamaica Constabulary Force as authorities move to strengthen security nationwide. The force operating under the Ministry of National Security is expected to intensify its crime-fighting efforts amid growing concerns. Here's Trishagaye Kelly.
During a recent vehicle handover ceremony to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang highlighted the importance of receiving additional resources in the force, resources which he says will better aid officers in capturing criminals. He adds the force prioritizes due process for criminals, but will bring them in one way or another.
Police know them. And when the case is built, they go for them. And when they hear they're coming, I advise them, please come in. We'll make sure you're treated well and go to the courts. We have a very conservative and a very good court system. And they have money to hire the lawyer, that's their business. We have no problem, but they have to behave themselves. If they don't, we bring them in. And that's at the police, we still bring them in, maybe in another form.
But in light of speculations that police officers are not acting lawfully when they encounter criminals, the minister reminds that officers must react to various situations accordingly.
You can't send a man out there in the kid gloves to talk to a man with a bomb, AK-47, supported by a 45 in their waist. And you tell him to go out and talk to him nicely when he's going to kill somebody first. I don't want any of the commissioners, senior officers have to go to a house to talk to a gentleman's wife with a police officer. If you are going to the police, you have to get to not an issue of when I hope.
Dr. Chang has also reaffirmed the government's dedication to a more secure force.
We will continue to provide them with the technological change required. The government is committed to building out a strong police force for law enforcement, to provide them with the tools they require to get the job done.
Over 270 vehicles were handed over to the force, including motorcycles and buses. Trishagaye Kelly, CVM News.
A surge in school violence is sparking urgent calls for action. Deans of discipline across Jamaica are pushing for greater accountability from parents and communities to curb behavioral issues. Here's Courtney Lewis.
This blurred video of a fight you're seeing is just one of the latest incidences of violent behavior in schools causing concerns for Jamaica's youth. Social discourse about violence among children is increasingly prevalent, and deans of discipline across Jamaica are making the call for collaborative efforts to curb behavioral issues.
The driving force within these students behaving in a maladaptive way, it has to do within parent support system and also within the community that most of the students are from. So it takes the entire village to raise a child.
President of the Association of Deans of Discipline, Dr. Renee Level, calls for an end to see and blind culture and urges parents and the wider community to intervene when children's behavior seems awry.
When they should attend PTA meeting, we can't see them. School is called off to have PTA meetings, and you will see less than 50% of parents that turn up. And I will call out to the government that the government system need to put something in place to make parents more accountable.
Her idea of accountability may even extend to sanctions for parents who fail to take the call seriously.
Once the police officers or social worker go into the community and see that these students are not attending school, then they submit the name to the relevant authority, and then if parents should pay a fine, then that should put in place.
Along with programs from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Justice to encourage safe conflict resolution and school pride, the Deans Association has also implemented intervention programs focused on safe social media usage.
So what we are doing as Deans of Discipline, we're doing life skill intervention about cyberbullying to let students aware that once they put an image out there, it is going to be difficult for you to erase and it will affect them. I am 100% confident that our effort will reap reward once we get the collaboration, support, and different stakeholders come to know that it's not a one-man show. It takes the entire village to raise a child.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment.
At Hypro, farming is in our DNA, so we know the value of all you do. Whether you're an experienced farmer, the farmer just starting out, or the farmer looking to shake things up, we are here to support you at every step, providing high-quality feeds, chicks, farm supplies, and technical support whenever you need. From chickens to livestock to crops, choose Hypro. Let's get it done together.
Who goes there? A long time I see a brother walk to the community I call broom, you know. That was a thing.
That is the culture. Me grew from a community in Clarendon where known for build broomware, and these people are not Rastafari. The man them start put the hand broom and hang me up on the wall. So it's like he start giving me a whole heap of different idea. It was first music that teach I that entrepreneur energy. Yeah. Carlton try to make a broom, man. He ugly.
I actually won my last Olympic. I was ready to retire. I never want to run for a championship. To the point where I tell coach, I not train for 200 no big man. Bills me train for. One teacher bet me, if I win, I get a box lunch. I say less boss. Yeah. Jamaica, you know, so I'm not too put in a bad life because I whole part of things out there will have a shadow over already. Now figure push that. Yo, you see Shelly, big man. My link Shelly, I'm going to Shelly. You really good. I say it's a mother race.
The Cut, brought to you by Flo and Rare Nephew.
Now I'm where I want to be.
Welcome back. You're watching CVM News at 7. Up to 2023, Jamaica had just 5 pathologists. The demand to this day far outpacing the supply. With the industry under strain, funeral homes are feeling the impact. Trishagaye Kelly is joining me in studio with some more details. Hey, Trish.
Hey, Ramon. Well, while some funeral home directors express concern with a delay in autopsies and the demand from the families waiting to bury their loved ones, others attribute the issue to a lack of regulations. But are regulations enough to aid the growing island-wide crisis? Let's find out. A growing concern now lies in the burial industry, with reports of funeral homes struggling to adorn bodies at the standard they normally do. The issue rests with delayed autopsies, attributed to a shortage of pathologists. Proprietor for Lynn's Funeral Home and president of the National Association of Certified Embalmers and Funeral Directors, Calvin Lynn, says the situation is a grave one, plaguing the industry.
That is really annoying and a big setback and makes it difficult for the relatives because the next autopsy date I can't tell as I sit here.
Mr. Lynn suggests the forensic unit pressures the powers that be to find additional pathologists and assist them with completing their final examinations overseas.
We need not only to say to put the institute in particular, but the government, who is to find the funds and identify these doctors who will go and do the additional training to be qualified pathologists.
While there are others in the industry who believe there is indeed a shortage of pathologists, they do not agree that it is the issue here. Owner and manager of Patmore's funeral home, Paul Patmore, drummed the age-old concern.
The only problem I think Jamaica have is that we have an industry that is unregulated. So what happens, you have persons that come in the industry that just did not get any training on how to deal with bodies. So a body that was at a funeral home, we have for over a period of time, presently we store bodies up to 6 months.
However, Patmore explains the industry is flooded with untrained individuals, hence delayed autopsies impacting business.
You pick up bodies from burning bodies, from burning building, we get bodies from partially decomposed, 90% decomposed, and we take it to funerals. So in Jamaica, we have persons who know how to take care of a body, no matter what state. But some persons want to see somebody go to train to a school, a university, and get training for 4 years. They laugh after them and say they're wasting money.
He suggests it's time the government steps in and develop more serious regulations for the industry. Trishagaye Kelly, CVM News.
5 pathologists locally, Trishagaye. That sounds like a chronic issue. Perhaps it's time we start encouraging our students to explore non-conventional career paths. Yes, what's he?
Agreed. Actually, Mr. Lin was promoting that, and he's suggesting that our students venture into the career path. He's also encouraging the government to look into funding these expenses and also assisting those people who are on their final journey, as well as, sending them overseas to complete their final examinations so that we can have more pathologists here.
Well, let's hope the take-up is enthusiastic, yes?
Yes.
Moving on to other stories now, authorities out west are probing the cause of a massive fire that gutted a warehouse on Wednesday. The blaze sent residents into a panic as firefighters battled for hours to bring it under control.
Authorities in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland are investigating the cause of a massive blaze that destroyed a warehouse on Great Georgia Street on Wednesday. The flames reportedly sent residents into a panic.
There's a lot of building close to where the fire started, so everyone would be in a panic mood, and thank God, the fire never escalated.
The warehouse, reportedly owned by operators of the Regency service station, was completely gutted, with damage estimated in the millions. Reports indicate that flames were seen coming from the building on Wednesday afternoon. Fire crews responded, but due to the intensity of the blaze, the municipality and other private truckers had to lend assistance.
Unfortunately, one of our trucks are down. So, and the other truck was delivering water house to house in the Nipoli area. We immediately called back that truck to Savannah and it refilled at the Petersfield refilling station and dispatched to the scene.
It took several hours for firefighters to bring the blaze under control, but by then, the warehouse and all its contents had been destroyed. Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland George Wright and Savannah Lamar Mayor Dan Reed Delancey have expressed sympathy for the owners.
When I checked, there was no one get hurt, and thank God for that. But the owner of the property would have lost severely. I am imagining now, how he's feeling. But I think most importantly is that no life was lost.
Still not over, but it has been sorted out.
Investigations are ongoing. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Ongoing sewage issues continue to plague downtown Kingston, despite years of complaints and promised solutions. Local officials are urging urgent action, but a long-term fix remains uncertain. Here's Shante McNeil with the details.
A new year, but downtown Kingston is still drowning in old problems. Recurring sewage issues continue to plague the city. Sewage overflows in the corporate area date back to 2013, making headlines year after year with no lasting solution. Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation KSAMC Chairman Andrew Swaby says he has repeatedly called on key stakeholders to address the crisis, but without success.
I've gone as far as invited the minister who has responsibility for the NWC from last year to come and speak to the council about the long-term plans for the sewage in downtown and in Kingston all a whole, not just downtown. And he has not responded so far. Minister, this is not about the KSAMC. This is about the citizens of Kingston and St. Andrew. They deserve better. And I want us to work together to see how best we can alleviate the problem.
Touring the affected areas Thursday morning, Swaby says the National Water Commission NWC was expected on site but never showed up. When CVM TV contacted the NWC, we were told due to constraints they could not attend, but has been in dialogue with the KSAMC. They assure that a meeting will be arranged and confirmed that a crew had already conducted checks in the affected area with a report to be submitted. In 2023, Water Minister Matthew Samuda directed the NWC to carry out a $170 million emergency sewage main replacement, but Kingston's Chief Public Health Inspector Grayson Hutchinson says while those long-term plans are necessary, immediate action is needed to address the current issue.
There needs to be short-term and medium-term plans to deal with the situation. NWC has to be proactive. There has to be an emergency response plan in place. There needs to be a maintenance program that is in place. There needs to be a monitoring program that is in place so that we can address all issues that develop as quickly as possible.
For vendors and residents, this crisis threatens both health and livelihoods. A timeline for resolution remains unclear, but the KSAMC remains hopeful that a move to resolve the issue entirely will be undertaken. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
And ahead of the break, we are joined by Ronaldo Adams for a look ahead at what's to come in the sports. Naldo, what's in the spotlight?
Well, tonight it is heavily dominated by football as the St. Catherine FA is once again in the headlines. This time it is due to administrative matters. So unfortunately for the foreseeable future, all major league matches have been postponed, and that is indefinitely. On the other side, it's round 23 rescheduled action from the Jamaica Premier League. We have 6 matches that were played today, most notably league leaders Mount Pleasant, 1-0 win, and conversely, defending champions Cavalier suffered a 1-0 defeat. So 2 1-0s with 2 contrasting meanings. But lots more coming up in sports, and it's Thursday, so we'll have on court.
A lot to look forward to. You're
For
watching
sure.
CVM News at 7. We continue, of course, after this quick break.
There's no one way to enjoy your retirement, but only one account helps sweeten the time. Get extra benefits with a senior savers account from CIBC Caribbean, designed exclusively for 60 years and up at CIBC. Ambitions made real.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life.
The power of us. The power of us. I'm saying it one more time so it rings into your subconscious. The power of us. This is the theme for a Black History Month mini gala being put on by San Myrna Foundation. It's going to be held on Saturday the 22nd of February at the Police Officers Club at 34 Hope Road. Admission is $2,500. All proceeds go to charity. Stephen Golding, your guest speaker. Dee Burns, your special performer. And Miss Pearlgrand's son, your MC. Meet me there. Tickets available at Fontana Pharmacy in Waterloo and Barbican, Kaya Herb House on Lady Musgrave Road, and Amaraki Cafe by Constant Spring Golf Club.
Now to the business report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today, as the BR offers a passenger seat view of the key entries emerging from the AMG AGM to see how carefully operations have been handled over the year that was, and what was presented to unpack for a company not only willing to think about and beyond the box, but also where it may be best placed, which, according to Chairman Mitri Siaga, is beyond the $1 billion mark in sales.
We are not happy that sales dipped ever so slightly just below the $1 billion mark. It was really a big deal for us to reach that $1 billion mark, and sales this year dipped just below it. The truth is we had actually done the manufacturing of the products, we just hadn't delivered them yet. And by IFRS standards, we cannot book them as sales. But what I am very happy to report is that we had pre-tax profits increased by $57 million, or an increase of 43%.
A cut to the paper chase reveals that the dip saw revenues of $999.65 million and an increase in gross profit to the tune of $383.6 million in 2024.
We also have implemented our new ERP system, and it is running in parallel to our manual system. That is going to give the management even more productivity. It's going to give them more information. It's going to allow them to be able to do much more things. And you see our sales drop a little bit, but our income increased. That's because we have been using the new system. That's because we have been buying better. That's because paper prices have come down. As chairman of this company, I feel that we're on very solid footing.
Additional dimensions of the operational environment were expressed by AMG General Manager Michael Chin, who explained how profits have increased despite a reduction in revenue.
The reasons for the positive results that happened last year had to do with us sourcing our raw materials overseas to get better pricing so that we can offer better products, better pricing to our customers. We've taken on other suppliers other than the ones that we normally use, and they've come. Everybody's now, because of our growth, everybody's reaching out to us now to offer us more of the raw materials that we need. So we have 3 new machines over there now. The first 2 came within last year, and that has definitely helped us with efficiencies over there. Efficiencies as far as the production amounts, the wastage amount, which is critical. So with the new machines, it has certainly helped us with the bottom line. If you know our chairman, he's big on export, but not that we don't want to export, we gladly will. We haven't targeted anyone per se out of Jamaica. And the reason is we have lots of imports still coming to Jamaica, unfortunately. We have companies bringing cartons into Jamaica. It's weaker material than what we have, but they're a bit cheaper. That's why we need to expand. That's why we need even a new corrugator, which is the heart of our industry. If we can get a new corrugator and we can bring down prices, we can compete with those boxes coming from like Podomre, which again is made from recycled paper. And we can use this new machine, use virgin paper, which is a better material, and we can make better products for them.
According to the chairman, it's one of several desirable deliverables in 2025.
The ultimate aim would be for us to be able to lower prices, be able to produce more and eventually, and I know this may be a stretch to some, but eventually to be able to export. What we are considering is the consolidation of our warehousing into one purpose-built factory, the upgrade of our main piece of equipment, which is our corrugator, and some other small pieces of equipment that would increase our productivity tenfold. So it's really a very specific process. Looking for a space that could hold the corrugator, getting some other equipment around the corrugator is the main focus that we are looking at in 2025.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crossgill.
Stay with us. So much more to come after this quick break.
Do whatever the crunch you want with KFC's popcorn chicken. Now available in hot and spicy. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is
7:30.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. Me never make no record, I beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
SuperMed Family of Pharmacies is your trusted partner in health and wellness for over 30 years, with 8 convenient pharmacies across Eastern Jamaica. SuperMed Mall Pharmacy, SuperMed New Kingston, SuperMed Pepin, SuperMed Port Antonio Pharmacies 1 and 2, Claire's St. Mary, Lloyd's St. Thomas, and a convenient drive-thru at our Hughenden location where you can get your medication without leaving your car. We're dedicated to providing you with the highest level of care. Experience the difference with SuperMed Family of Pharmacies. Super happy, super healthy.
And you go down and have a good day. Blessing. SuperMed.
Jamaica, it reach! Introducing the Mother's Rewards app. The same mother's food you love, now at your fingertips. Sign up easy and get a free patty. Earn points whenever you visit any select Mother's location and redeem those same points for discounts later on. Order your favorites for pickup or delivery. No long lines. Plus, win daily to win prizes and discounts. Yes, daily chances to win. No need to say nothing more. Download the Mother's Rewards app now. Mothers, loving every bite.
Now a look at what's trending online.
So what's trending in our online community today? Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green says Jamaica will import liquid and powered eggs to meet demand from bakeries and hotels, freeing up whole eggs for local consumers. The move aims to offset the ongoing impact of Hurricane Beryl on local egg production. Here are some of your comments. At Patrice 11381 writes, Jamaicans need to start appreciating what they have, turn the hands to make fashion and eat what we grow and grow what we eat. At pinkpossible_shares, why? When so much local people have eggs, you know how much people could I get a little hustle off eggs? Liquid eggs sick stomach to me. At K20_Honda123 asks, are we just going to import everything and be happy about it? Wow. At JCShua.876 comments, Jamaica should be exporting eggs to take advantage of the US egg shortage. At Sugar Crush 876 posts, why you must import everything? Help out the local producers, man. G's and P's help out the country. at Plumwiz says, an embarrassing situation. And that's what's trending in our online community today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM Television on Facebook. I'm Trishagaye Kelly.
Thanks, Trish. We now turn to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. The Barbados government and BioMedX, a European biotech company, signed a letter of intent this morning as part of an effort to improve the representation of people of African descent in biotechnology and biomedical research. Prime Minister Motley, alongside President of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and officials from the company and Export Barbados BIDC were on hand for the signing. The EU is also partnering with Barbados in the renewable energy sector. CBC News Barbados tells us more.
It is of great concern to us because I often say in our country that we are suffering from a diabetes epidemic, and therefore the pharmacological efficacy of the pharmaceuticals really does matter to us. And this is where the rubber is going to hit the ground for Bajans, Caribbean people, and indeed Africans across the world, not just in Africa, but in the diaspora, because we need to shift the attention of the pharmaceutical industry to be able, particularly in an era of personalized medicine, precision medicine, to be able to shift it to allow us to be equally the beneficiaries of the wonderful research that's being done.
Together with Hydrogène de France, we've just signed the first green hydrogen storage project in Barbados. For us, it's important that renewable energy is homegrown, and therefore it's cheaper. It gives you energy independence, and it gives you energy security.
As the Caribbean Community Caricom heads of government gather in Barbados for the 48th regular meeting, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali has outlined several pressing issues that are part of his country's priorities. The meeting, running from February 19 to 21, is taking place under the theme Strengthen Unity, Forging Caribbean Resilience, Inclusive Growth, and Sustainable Development. More from Newsroom Guyana.
Free movement of people, this is a substantive matter that will have a lot of attention, clarification as we move towards implementation of the free movement within and among states. Transportation, regional transportation system, the expansion of our productive capacity is also an important subject area. That is the ferry system between the region. I believe the regional private sector organization would have advised that they now have a formal presentation to make, and they have made significant progress on this matter.
And in international news, top diplomats from the G20 countries are due to meet in South Africa, except for the US. The impact of President Donald Trump's new administration on the group and other international bodies is likely to dominate the meeting. We hear more from Al Jazeera.
At an opening briefing, G20 summit organizers outlined the agenda. Numerous working groups discussing topics ranging from trade to climate change, all under the umbrella slogan, solidarity, equality and sustainability. But there's a glaring omission among the guests. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, will not be present, boycotting the event to protest what the Trump administration wrongly says are plans by the South African government to seize land from white farmers. The sanction, formalized in one of the many executive orders signed by President Donald Trump in the last month. It's titled, Addressing Egregious Actions of the Republic of South Africa.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things.
In his State of the Nation address, the South African president had a message of his own without mentioning Trump's name.
We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied. We will speak with one voice in defense of our national interests.
And that's it for regional and international news.